Let's just go ahead and address the elephant in the room right off the bat here. Pete's wearing a black shirt, which we had established in the first two episodes is like my brand. I wear the black shirt. You wear like a graphic tee with like a little button up over it. So I really don't understand when he showed up to the studio today, dressed like me. A little bit like, what the fuck?
You're flipping the script here, because last night we were talking about what are we going to wear, and I said I got the black t-shirt this time, and then you went out and purchased 3 t-shirts.
Yeah, you were there when I bought this shirt.
Why are you wearing the black one today?
Because that's my brand. I've worn the black one every episode.
But I said I got the black t-shirt.
Yes, and I argued with you then. I thought you were joking.
But you said,
I laughed. I said, ha, funny joke, Pete. We all know that you... Anyway, your turn to do the intro.
Hey, welcome everyone. It's the Marc and Pete podcast. Welcome back. Should we cue the song?
Let's just do the song in post. I didn't like last time it was like playing and then the song was, then I added the song over top and I feel like it overlapped and it made it not sound as good. So we'll just find a sequence where we're walking around or something. Check. What do we got this week, Pete?
This is a good one. Stocks.
We've been foreshadowing it. Buy high, sell low, stock tips. We included a disclaimer in last week's episode.
We are not financial experts. Do not listen to our advice. We're merely commentators.
That being said, I think we're both pretty savvy with the stock market. I know myself personally, I've lost several $1,000s this year alone in the stock market.
You might learn a thing or two, people. You might learn a thing or two.
You just might.
Well, we've taken to like Googling things for definitions, so I think maybe we just stick with that.
As with most of the world, we mostly just Google things. We're looking at... let's look at our notes. Don't forget to like. We're going to cut straight to... Don't forget to like and subscribe, right?
Remember to like and subscribe.
We've got like maybe 40 total views.
But, we've got an uphill battle against the algorithm, and we could really use your help.
Yeah.
So
we're fighting the algorithm.
Like, subscribe, share.
Stocks is a trendy topic, though, right? Especially right now.
I don't even know if it's like a trendy topic. I feel like it's like it's an eternal topic, you know?
It is, but well, we should talk about this. So, it's been kind of a new, I thought, like an empowerment of what we call retail investors in the last few years with the advent of all these stock trading apps that become real popular, like Robinhood, is the big one.
Yeah,
I think that's the one that really shifted the culture from stocks being something that institutions would handle your investments, hedge funds and that sort of thing, to any old Joe Schmo can now just download an app and start putting their money into the stock market. No middleman.
Well, there is a middleman. It's the app.
Okay. So what should we start with?
Let's talk about a group of stocks that we've deemed interesting enough to discuss. Mostly because each one has either a story about it or demonstrates, something about the stock market that you should probably know.
Yeah, we picked a few stock tickers to look at. Let me bring up the first one here is Netflix. Netflix, right? What a dumpster fire. Everyone's heard about that. So Netflix stock up 9.14% today.
What on earth? What did I miss?
5%, up $9. But if we look at the 6 month, tells a different story. It's down 68% last 6 months.
68%?
Yeah. a short 6 months ago was trading for $613 a share. Now it's at 190. So it's
Wow.
it's at like a third.
Why are people getting away from Netflix?
Well, they're raising their prices. They're introducing ads. They're doing like the Hulu thing, where there's like ads, even for paid subscribers. No one likes that. And then they've also, content-wise, they've really doubled down on just producing their own content. When they started off, they were, working with Warner Brothers and all these other companies and buying shows. But now they're their own production company, and it seems like most of what's on Netflix is produced by Netflix, right?
There's a lot more original content on Netflix, yeah.
Yeah, not as motley. It's more, it's just all. It's got that Netflix smell on it, Not to say they're bad producers, but I haven't had Netflix in a very long time because I found a pirate website where I can watch all the Netflix shows and just do it for free at the expense of a little malware on my computer.
Yeah, I'm part of the family plan, which is a pretty good deal. You can split the account off across multiple households.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, I think it's always been like that.
Nice.
But I think this shows that Netflix is really in a kind of a tough position because the company's losing money. So they're enacting these policies like advertising, commercials, and raising subscription prices. And nobody wants that, but it's the only way to make money. So how do you get out of that hole?
Yeah, and the thing with Netflix too is they had a pretty good head start on it. I mean, there was a while there where it was them and Hulu, maybe, But now there's Apple. Apple's got a streaming service. Disney's got a streaming service.
Paramount Plus is the one I don't have, and it seems like
Paramount
everything
Plus.
is on Paramount Plus.
HBO, it's turning into a whole thing.
HBO.
And yeah, so Netflix does not have all the content anymore. They just have a small piece of it. So obviously they're not going to be nearly as valuable. Netflix. They still do they still mail out DVDs. It's still part of their business. They still have a warehouse full of DVDs, and you can get it. You remember that's how it started? When I was a kid, we had Netflix, and that was, get the DVD in the mailbox, and then you send it back, and then they send you another DVD.
Yeah, famously, Netflix killed Blockbuster.
Yeah, because they weren't forward thinking enough. I think Blockbuster had the opportunity to buy Netflix at one point. It was another one of those things, but
fools.
They didn't. They thought it was a trend. Well, remember Blockbuster started doing the mail order thing. So they did do that, but I couldn't get on streaming quick enough. Where's the sell button? Sell! So you want to watch, what's his name? Who's the Mad
We
Money?
should just decide, is it a buy or is it a sell? Let's do the Mad Money thing.
It's a sell. Although, I don't know, if you look at the 5-day, it's up 9%. So, I mean, this is what happens with stocks, I think, is, they introduce the new policy. There's a harsh reaction by investors. And I think because of the increase of retail investors in the market, we're seeing more extremes in the volatility when there is a reaction to something. The market's reacting from a more emotional place as opposed to, when it's...
So what you're saying is more people are buying stocks, and most people are more emotionally driven.
Yeah, than say like an AI that's running some hedge fund. Anyway, that's enough on Netflix, right? We've got a few of these to get through.
Yeah. This reminds me of that Wolf of Wall Street moment between Matthew McConaughey and Leonardo DiCaprio. He only had like 7 minutes in that entire movie, but he absolutely crushed it.
Matthew McConaughey?
It's a Fugazi, it's a Fugazi, it's a Woozy, it's a Wazi, it's
Fairy dust.
fairy dust.
Yeah, we watched this scene yesterday. Makes you want to try Quaaludes, right? Quaaludes still available? I don't think they are. They like stopped making them decades ago.
Yeah, that was the point.
But boy, did they look fun, didn't they? Yeah, Ludes. Let's look at Tesla. The golden boy. Tesla made everyone a whole bunch of money in the last few years. Because it's up. It was up like 1,000%. In 2020, it's done a bunch of splits and stuff, so it's not like, I don't think the stock price was $51, but I guess it was with the retro. Anyway, it's confusing with the stock splits.
So a split is when you own one share of a stock, and the company says, we're going to divide that by 3 or 5. And after the split, you own 5 times as much stock. And oftentimes it drives up the price of the stock, generating that exuberance about the company.
Yeah. Well, so publicly traded companies, they do this to make the stock, to make it more accessible. Because, I mean, now with like Robinhood, you can buy fractional shares and that sort of thing. But before you could do that, like if a stock is $2,000, you have to have $2,000 to buy one share. So if they just split it up and just make it more stocks, and they're each worth, $500, then more people can afford it.
Lower barrier to entry.
Mm-hmm. So anyway,
how's Tesla doing?
So if you would have bought Tesla 3 years ago, you could have gotten it for the equivalent of $42 a share. And now, well, at its peak, it was up at about $1,200 per share. So that's what's that? What's the percent increase on that, Pete? Pete's our math whiz.
Don't math me. Don't ask me to do math.
So it's done incredibly well. And why do you think that is, Pete? Why do you think Tesla's done so well as a car manufacturer? Because it's by no means the largest car manufacturer. It is the most valuable car manufacturer, though.
Well, one thing I think you have to look at, and this is like, again, these are not instructions. This is just like you might learn something here. When you're evaluating a stock, you want to look at like quarterly earnings reports, and you want to see if a company is either hitting or missing its projections for quarterly earnings reports. And I think Tesla has hit a lot of targets, in this case, in a short amount of time. And they deliver. And that has been, it's been a major factor in making them this huge company that they are.
You think it's that? It's their earnings? It's their numbers? It's not their... I would think it has a lot to do with their publicity. I mean, Elon Musk is this big media personality. They shot a Tesla into space.
You can't talk about Tesla without talking about, one, the Tesla they shot into space.
Is it still floating around in
Elon
space?
Musk. Yeah.
It's just space trash now?
It's just space junk.
It's eventually going to crash into the moon.
But it's cool. They put a little astronaut in it. So it's like cutesy.
There's a dead astronaut in it?
No, it's like a mannequin.
It's like a blow-up doll?
Yeah.
In a spacesuit?
Yeah.
Yeah, Elon Musk, the meme lord. There's also there's a lot of smoke and mirrors going on with it too, right? Like, I saw one thing, I think it was last year, their year-end earnings, they actually would not have hit any of their numbers had they not bought a bunch of Bitcoin at the beginning of the year and then sold it for a massive profit. something like $100 million or something. Elon Musk had pumped up on Twitter
Twitter.
and famously started accepting Bitcoin as a method of payment to buy a Tesla, which after they sold all of their Bitcoin that had grown exponentially in value, they turned off that capability and said, actually, Bitcoin's terrible for the environment. And then the price fell.
Once again, it's a fugazi. It's a fugazi.
Yes, I think Tesla is not what it appears to be, value wise. Especially same thing as Netflix. You know, for a while they were making, and maybe they still are making the best electric car, but it's not the only option anymore for a premium sedan. It's all electric, right? Toyota's doing them. Everyone's doing them. You can get an all-electric Mercedes-Benz if you want. BMW? Definitely a BMW.
Oh yeah, that like i9 thing.
No, Pete, you're thinking of old times. Come on, they must have nice ones now. Yeah, that's the one that you're thinking of.
Yeah, and actually, there's an interesting story behind that car. Like, they produced that kind of on the fly. It was almost experimental, and they were just drumming up support for their electric vehicle business.
Yeah.
I don't know if there are any major electric BMWs out there right now.
Well, what would you call this?
This looks like a concept. I don't know. Let's see.
See
Can I get an electric M3?
Look at these. These look dope as hell. I mean, maybe not the minivan looking thing, but this i4. Come on. Who wouldn't want to drive that? There you go. You can buy it right now. Great looking. What is that?
Well, I stand corrected.
They're going a little crazy with their grill. Doesn't that seem like a little too... What does that look like? Why is it unnerving to me? But yeah, look at that. Ready to go. Let's see. Electric Mercedes-Benz. That's beautiful. Look at them. They got a bunch of them. EQ. Oh, show me some more pictures of the car. Yeah, scheduled to arrive this year.
Yeah, they're just now getting into these electric vehicles.
Yeah, so the market is becoming saturated with electric vehicles. I mean, there's some places they're planning to ban combustion engine vehicles after a while, right? Like by 2050 or something. Trying to get them all off the road. I mean, we're all working towards it.
There's a lot of proposed legislation about getting 50 miles per gallon, that sort of thing. I don't know about banning combustion vehicles entirely, but I could be wrong. Could have missed something. There's a lot of information out there. It's kind of hard to keep track of it all.
Yeah, especially with that ketamine habit of yours. But it's done real well, and that seems to be affected by the economic slowdown, just like everything else.
Yeah.
Is that as much as we have on Tesla?
Yeah, I think so.
I would like the Cybertruck. Oh, is the Cybertruck, is that just vaporware? Have they made more than 2 Cybertrucks? Yeah.
Cybertruck is badass.
Cybertruck's dope. But they
got those bulletproof windows.
Do you remember when they did the demonstration of how it's bulletproof?
Elon Musk hit it with a metal ball and
I don't think it was Elon.
No, it was someone else. Wasn't it?
Some baseball player or something?
Obviously lost his job immediately afterwards.
I think he had a celebrity do it. Let's see. Yeah, that broke easily. He barely even threw it.
No, he just threw it a little too hard.
Stupid Cybertruck. Yeah, still a cool looking car.
So what's up next on the list?
Let's look at Starbucks for some reason. So you picked this one out. Why did you want to look at Starbucks?
So another thing you want to look at when you're evaluating a stock is the company's leadership and the CEO, because the CEO's main job, if I'm not oversimplifying this way too much, is basically to serve the shareholders and keep the stock price up. Now, Starbucks Starbucks was previously led by a man named Howard Schultz, who's the founder of Starbucks. And at some point, late 20 teens, he decided to step down from the company, and he had a replacement named. And without Schultz's leadership, the company actually started underperforming and wasn't looking good. So the board of directors, or what have you, the people in charge, thought, let's bring Howard Schultz back.
They did an Apple. They did the Steve Jobs sort of thing. Huh?
Yeah, Steve Jobs. I mean, I think you will find as many books about Howard Schultz as you will find about Steve Jobs.
I sincerely doubt it.
Yeah,
There's two feature movies on Steve Jobs.
Yeah, well, he was sexy. Howard Schultz is not.
He's a pretty good-looking guy.
Michael Fassbender played him. Ashton Kutcher played him.
Who would play? Who could do a good Schultz?
Yeah, I have the guy.
Jeff Goldblum would do a good
Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah, what do you think? Who did you have in mind?
He was the guy. He was in Star Wars.
Pete loves Star Wars.
Not Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah.
So, Starbucks has had this incredible leader. So you want to, oftentimes you want to look at leadership. You want to look at how many people approve of the CEO, how many people disapprove of the CEO. Again, you want to look at those earnings reports. But this is the guy. This is the guy responsible for the stock price.
Okay, so how are the stocks doing?
Well, one cool thing about Starbucks is that they've always learned to innovate. I mean, they're a coffee company, but they're real big in the digital space. And even pre-pandemic, I don't know what year or decade or time you're watching this in or listening to us in, but at one time before the pandemic, Starbucks launched an app, and it allowed you to order ahead and
Revolutionary.
Add like money into a little Starbucks wallet.
Had never been done before.
And it was insanely popular. Boosted business. Now, and I found an interesting little story here just earlier this week.
Starbucks is a bank.
I was on LinkedIn and I saw this post, like you do, and this guy is saying Starbucks is more like a bank. Yes, it's not a joke. Let me explain how. You deposit money in your Starbucks account on the app, and when you use that money to buy coffee, you get rewarded with coffee.
Are you going to read this verbatim?
He says currently there's $1.5 billion lying in Starbucks accounts all over the world unused. But that money is not just sitting there in accounts. Starbucks is using it for its investing ventures. So they have this pool of cash, money that people have put into these digital wallets to spend on coffee or little cake pops or those delicious breakfast sandwiches, what have you. And it's just sitting there idle, and the company is using that as cash to invest to make more money. And what this guy is saying is that that's kind of how a bank behaves. So you think they're really just a coffee company. They're a financial institution.
But I very much doubt they're a federally insured financial institution, right?
Well, he actually makes the point that they're not subject to the same limitations because people can't.
You mean the same regulations?
Yeah, regulations. Because people can't pull out their money. They just, you get coffee in return. So,
like in the Great Depression, when the big collapse came, everyone was lined up at their banks trying to get their money back out. Are people going to be lined up at Starbucks when we finally have the great collapse of 2023?
I'm not sure. Did people?
They'll be like, "Sorry, your coffees aren't here anymore. We put it all in stonks and they went to zero." Yeah, because that's why we have the FDIC, right? To protect against those. All of your money in your bank is federally insured. Because even though your bank is using your money and making money off of your money, it's investing it, taking all the profit. If they lose it, you'll get it from the government. The government will have to, it's insured, right?
You're going to have to not use acronyms and jargon like that around me on the podcast because I can either nod and pretend I know what you're talking about, or I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to ask you, what is the FDIC?
FDIC is the federally provided insurance that all banks have to be insured by the federal government to operate, banks and credit unions and stuff. Or I guess they don't have to be, but you would never bank with a bank. I don't know. Maybe they do. Maybe I don't know. But you would never bank with a non-insured entity, right? It's the reason that dispensaries, like marijuana dispensaries, cannabis. Have you heard of it?
Yeah.
It's legal in a lot of states, but if you're selling, if you're running one of those pot stores, you can't have a bank account because the banks are federally insured and weed is federally illegal. So if a bank gave a bank account to a pot company, they would be breaking federal laws and could be subject to lose their federal insurance, FDIC. Anyway, so Starbucks is acting like a bank, but they're not insured like a bank.
And there are other companies that do this too.
Yes. Venmo, a product of PayPal, does the same thing, I imagine, right? I've never seen anything saying that they do, but how else would they make money? They let you do all these free transactions. I'm sure there's billions of dollars sitting in Venmo accounts. And they're probably investing it, maybe loaning it. Who knows? Or the stock apps like Robinhood. I've heard Robinhood doesn't actually invest with, like, if you have the Robinhood app and you're like, okay, I want to buy some Apple stock. They don't actually buy Apple stock. They just take your money and then it follows the Apple stock trend. So if Apple goes up, they'll give you more money, but they're not actually buying Apple stock.
You don't actually own any stock?
No. Yeah. It goes into a dark pool. They do whatever the hell they want with the money. It all works out the same for you. If Apple goes up, they're like, oh yeah, Apple went up and you're pretending to own Apple stock, so here's more money. And if it goes down, you'll lose the money. But it's a whole thing. Well, we should
How much is Robinhood worth?
They've been performing pretty poorly. Well, because they're very hated because of this. And I think this is, it's going to segue into the next one we were going to look at. But so they only went public maybe a year ago. They went public on July 30th, 2021. and it's just been a downhill trend since then. Worth $8 a share.
It's an ugly looking graph.
They
It's
went
an
public
ugly
at,
looking graph.
went public at 35 a share. But it's because of their shady business practices, I think. Or maybe they're doing poorly earnings wise. Yeah, earnings per share in the neg,
Hey, look, we're applying what we learned on this podcast already.
in the red. Are we?
Yeah, look at the earnings reports. Look at the CEO.
Yeah. But this all ties together with another ticker we had on the list. GameStop, right?
GameStop.
Power to the players.
Power to the people.
Yeah. So what's the GameStop story, as you know it, Pete?
I actually missed this entire news cycle, so why don't you tell me?
Are you serious? Okay, so GameStop is a company that's, I don't know, been in decline. It looks like it's never really done that well. It's hard to see it because there's so much volatility after a certain point. But what happened is during the pandemic, right around the time that everyone was getting $1,200 checks from the government, a bunch of people on Reddit, some subreddit called Wall Street Bets. There's a subreddit like mostly about like degenerate, or like it's a place for like degenerate gamblers just to kind of post their wins or losses, doing just like betting on margin and doing what do you call them, calls and options trading. Yeah, very risky. Yeah, high potential rewards, but easy to lose everything. Anyway, I'm not sure how it happened exactly. It was like there was this one guy who posted. People would always post these. They call them DDs, which I think means like due diligence, and it's kind of like a report of why they think some stock is about to make some move. And he had posted it about GameStop, and his reasoning was that there was a large amount of short interest on GameStop. One hedge fund in particular, Melvin Capital, had taken out a really large short position on it, and he thought it's going to lead to a short squeeze. A bunch of people got on the bandwagon with him and started buying into it, and the more people who would buy it, the bigger the squeeze would be, the more the stock would shoot up. And boy, were they right. It went from trading at about $4 a share in September 2020 to its peak at $325 a share January 2021. And since then, it's held on pretty well. Remember this was trading for less than $10, $4 a share, and now it's still today. It's at $135.
It's been a rocky road to get there, though, because what happened? I mean, what happened here?
Yeah. So what did happen there? That's a good question. What happened was the hedge funds like started scrambling, and they did things like it turns out Robinhood, the app that most people had have been buying GameStop with, they were in cahoots with Melvin Capital. Melvin Capital actually like in some way owned them or something. I don't know how it works exactly. So Robinhood like disabled the buy button, so people couldn't buy any more GameStop, and did some other shady things to manipulate the price back down. And then so this cult of GameStop that now exists, they've figured out ways. They all use something called computer share and do it's called direct share registration. So they know for sure they're actually buying the stock. It's not going through any middleman or ending up in these dark pools. So
The dark pools.
they were able to get it back up, and then yeah, it's been rocky ever since. But it is like a cult. These people that buy the GameStop, and hodl, hold on for dear life, as they say. They have diamond hands. It's a whole thing. Apes, I think they refer to themselves as. But yeah, it's kind of cultish, and they're all waiting for the MOASS, as they call it, MOASS, which is the mother of all short squeezes. So the followers of GameStop, they believe that one day these hedge funds are going to actually have to cover their shorts, which means. So, can you explain to the people at home what a short position is?
A short is like the opposite of buying a stock for its value. What you're actually doing is hedging the position that the stock is going to lose money.
Yes, and you're doing that by basically you buy the option. It's a type of option, and you buy the option to sell the stock at the price that it is currently, which means if it goes down, you just take the difference as profit. So if you get the option to sell 100 shares of GameStop at $4 and it goes down to $2, that $200 in between, you just get to pocket. If it goes up, though, then you have to buy those shares, basically.
Right.
And so that's what should eventually happen. Is these hedge funds will then actually have to buy a bunch of GameStop, causing a huge squeeze, and so they think. I mean, they say crazy things like it's going to go up to like $1 million a share and stuff. I don't know. It's all pretty complicated. I'm probably explaining it wrong, but so that's the GameStop thing, which kind of brings us to Wall Street bets. As you can see, we've got it open here at a tab. It's where they post memes and stuff about the stock market, and I don't know, they come up with these crazy ideas, and I don't know. So I saw this. I wasn't a big investor, but it seemed like they did have some good ideas.
You were a big Redditor.
A lot of people seemed to be making money off of these. Wall Street bets, and there's another subreddit, Short Squeeze, and they would identify potential squeezes that were about to happen, get enough people on board, make the squeeze happen, and I saw it happen a couple times, just following Reddit, and so I finally got on one, decided to hop on board with a Tyrion, which was like the play everyone was saying, and so it had done a big squeeze already. So if you see here on the graph, it had jumped up, and so then everyone was watching it, and then I guess was it right around here is where it did another one, and so I rode this train up a little bit. And I bought some call options. They said it was going to go up, and then it did. I got out, made a nice little profit, but then I was FOMOing, because it was still going up. It's like, shit, shouldn't have sold. So I got back in, right around here. I got back in, and it kept going down. But then there's like all these people on the internet like saying, "Oh no, it's gonna go back up. You wait, they're manipulating it right now. You just hodl, diamond hands." And eventually, I think I sold down here for a massive loss. And yeah, so don't believe the Reddit hive mind. Maybe don't fall prey to that.
It's a great story.
I guess
It's a great story.
I mean, the bad news is my house got foreclosed on. The good news is I'm gonna have some great tax write-offs when I file my taxes. All right, what's the next one? We kind of killed two birds with one stone there. For some reason, you have Urban Outfitters in the notion. Like, quite a hefty note there.
This one is just a fascinating company because you were shopping for a couch the other day,
A futon, to be precise.
futon couch the other day, and you'd picked this hideous thing from Urban Outfitters, and you remarked, "I'm surprised." What we both remarked, I'm surprised they sell furniture. I always remember Urban Outfitters as being a company that sold like, graphic T-shirts and like flimsy clothing and various knickknacks. But
Let's just
they
get the
seem to have
record
pivoted
straight
to be
here.
a furniture company.
This is a pretty cool futon, like a floor couch or something. And it's very nicely photographed. Looks comfy. Look at all those succulents. Look how many succulents I could have if I had this couch. Yeah, I've never bought anything from Urban Outfitters.
But if you look at their ticker, they seem to follow this very apparent pattern where it looks like every let's say every year or so the stock goes down and then it goes back up
Yeah,
to an all-time high.
where are the peaks? Okay, October, August. I don't know. Yeah, it's crazy. They were trading for like nothing all the way up until 2003. Shit just took off. Yeah,
And trends are kind of cyclical like that. Trends in fashion, trends in music. And, they're a very hip company trying to follow those trends. And, if the trends are bad, no one's interested. The company loses money.
Do you think they're all
but
like this?
Then something hot comes along,
You can
and
compare them.
everyone's at Urban Outfitters.
Ooh, Nordstrom. That's the one you want to invest in. Oh, it's been doing.
No, Nordstrom just pulled out of the plaza in Kansas City. Remember that?
No, I didn't hear
Yeah,
about that.
they spent like 2 years renovating a massive spot on the plaza for a new Nordstrom store. And
The downtown plaza
And
of Kansas City, USA,
yeah,
Earth, Milky Way galaxy.
Casey Moe. And the construction shut down like a lot of other businesses in the plaza area for a while because it was blocking access to them and stuff, and it was a lot of construction going on in the plaza, very disruptive. And then
they were literally burning bridges.
like a month ago, Nordstrom says, "You know what? We're pulling out." So now there's this big unfilled space. Plus, they've already caused all of this disruption and trouble for like 2 years. Anyway, I'm not sure about Nordstrom. But Urban Outfitters is tenacious.
Yeah, they seem to be. I mean, if you ignore all the ups and downs, I mean, they're very. It almost says something more to a stock to see it like, have that volatility and maintain. Like, they must be over there at the Urban Outfitters headquarters just fucking spinning plates, keeping this ship afloat, and they seem to be doing a bang up job of it. They make some sweet futons, Pete. It's a great looking futon.
When was the last time you were in an Urban Outfitters?
I've never been to one that I know of. Yeah, like I said, I thought it was just a clothing store. No. Just because of the name, Urban Outfitters. I figured it was like a clothing store that sold like streetwear. You know, get yourself a fresh pair of Nikes. Urban Outfitters.
That's how they started, but they do so much more now. They sell records, furniture, knickknacks.
We don't need to get into crypto, right? We're already at an hour.
We are. We're almost at an hour.
So yeah, what's the closing summary? So to summarize, you buy high and you sell low, right? That's how the stocks work.
Generally, yes. Look at those. Look at those.
You buy low and you sell high. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
unless you're shorting a stock.
What did Warren Buffett say?
He says a lot of things.
It's better to invest in a good company at a bad price than a bad company at a good price, right?
That sounds like a Warren Buffett-ism.
He probably used I don't know, more eloquent words than good company, bad price, but you know. This is the Marc and Pete podcast.
This is Marc and Pete.
Signing off. Don't forget to again like and subscribe. Follow us on iTunes, Twitter. No, not Twitter. Instagram. Spotify. YouTube. And anything else?
Stonks.
All right.